Welcome everyone to another trailer to film. This is where I take 3 scenes from the trailer and talk about its impact and if it holds up conveying the same excitement within the film as it did the trailer. And here we are going to be talking about Aquaman. And side note, yes, I am standing up. So here's the deal. I seriously didn't have time to review this film back when I watched it in December. I've seen this film twice now, and I still didn't have the time even upon the second time watching it. And now I do. Sadly, I think this is a bit late, so where I don't think many people care about my opinion, but I'm actually going to do this review for a couple of buddies of mine who I saw this movie with the first go-around. So, Tyree, Jose, and Joe, this is for you guys. Also for anyone else who cares. So we're going to focus mostly on the first trailer, as it was the only one I remember after all the advertising and the time that has passed. When I saw the first trailer, I just kind of found it to be an average trailer. I didn't feel the scale of it, nor that I quite think of this movie really well. I just like, okay, it looked cheesy. And I kind of wasn't looking forward to it. Like, okay, yeah, I'll see you. But I'm not going to expect much. Even if it was for James Wan at the helm, which is one of my favorite directors. Well, as many of you guys can agree, I was an idiot. I was definitely an idiot, because at this point, in retrospect, I could say there were a few scenes that stood out to me, but these were the scenes that stood out to me when I first watched it, and now looking back on it all, it's like, yeah, these were ones that stood out to me. Let's talk about them. From trailer to film, let's get into this. Starting off with the first scene that stood out to me is this scene.
They made me what I am.
I was interested to see how this scene played out, because there are these type of scenes that are either quick and to the point, establishing the basic idea of Arthur and, he can control the fish. Scenes like this are just like, okay, this is what can happen. This is what did happen. Bye-bye. And then, you kind of get the idea he was bullied in school, but he showed everyone that he was powerful in awesome, spectacular fashion. Or this is a very long, drawn-out sequence that you kind of wish got to the point. I can tell you that it's not the second one. It was a great establishment of Arthur's powers when he was a boy, but the scene itself is extremely short. A little bit awkward, and it's over right after it began. It does serve its purpose, though. Not for nothing, but the beginning of where we meet Arthur's father and mother, that was a longer extended sequence that surprised me. And that was more or less the long, drawn-out sequence I speak of, but it had a lot more pomp and circumstance. It had a reason for being, and I actually really loved the beginning. Jumping into the second sequence, we get
Permission to come aboard.
A lot of these scenes, I point out, I should say, were a lot longer than imagined, but do not take this as a gripe. I was more happier than anything that these scenes were big scenes conveying powers, motivations, characters, and plot. The entire submarine sequence was badass, especially with the introduction of the soon-to-be Black Manta. Arthur coming in and beating the crap out of everyone was highly entertaining, and I actually loved the camera work that went with it. I thought it was just going to be a couple of punches thrown, then flying from side to side, and then up there. The camera moves with the action, to which I gotta give James Wan credit for, because he really knows how to follow the action. The entire submarine sequence even plays a part in the story. It's not just a one-off quick introduction for Aquaman and an origin beat for Black Manta, and then gone. The submarine sequence was a mean to an end, and I like that a lot. So let's get a little deeper here. The third scene actually goes to...
My brother has come from the surface to challenge me for the throne!
It was a toss-up between...
Welcome home.
Also...
That was the worst pep talk ever.
Which was surprisingly not in the film. 2...
What are you doing?
She never parachute.
Redheads! You gotta love them!
And... where James Wan flexes his horror skills in that scene, which I did love. But as I came down to it, I chose this sequence.
My brother has come from the surface!
because this has a lot to do with the cinematography. I mean, seriously, this is probably the prettiest, the most gorgeous DC movie to date. The cinematography and sound quality was out of this world. Wonder Woman was proof that you could have had a good film in the DC universe based off of origin stories, and Aquaman is no different. But it took the cake and wins all the awards for best visuals. The fight sequences are exciting and don't even have a dull moment in them. The personal stakes between Arthur Curry and King Orm actually fit well within the film. The plot is pretty simple, and that really doesn't bother me because you actually get personality within both characters. Everything else is overblown because it's an accepting nature of its pure silliness of Aquaman, and it keeps its heart intact. It's a means to an end with making a damn good entertaining film. And there's even a battle sequence in the end of this film that I thoroughly enjoyed, but there was so much going on, I almost lost track. It was like everything being thrown at the screen at once, as if like the whole entire writers group and filmmakers in this movie just kind of went, let's go for broke. Let's just sell it. Let's do it right now. And I mean, it pulls out all the stops, and I really felt like it was really, really earned. Guys, in the end, I had a hell of a time with Aquaman. It's a fun ride. The action sequences are thrilling. It's dopey at points, in my opinion, and cheesy. The runtime is a bit long, and, you know, you may want to savor your watching experience when you're at home, unless you're hardcore and you go through that film all the way through, all of 2 hours and 30 minutes of its runtime. Second viewing really allowed me to see more that I had missed the first time, and for that, I loved Aquaman and would own it on Blu-ray. Alright, so Aquaman, you've seen it by now at this point. What did you think of it? I'd love to talk with you about it. If you have a second, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Be kind, be reasonable, and let's talk. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're new here, I do movies and TV show reviews. Check out those if you're interested. I all hope you have a fantastic and wonderful day, and don't forget to like, comment, and